Hello and welcome to That's What Speaks. Today is Friday, March 12th, and this is episode 291. I'm Beth, also known as the Fat Squirrel on Ravelry and the Fat SQRRL on Instagram. So I did just upload a bonus episode about my Otis overalls, which is a sewing pattern by Sew Liberated. I was lucky enough to get to test sew them. I enjoyed the process muchly. So there is a bonus episode on the YouTube channel about that. And if you are interested, you can check it out. But this will be a traditional woolen episode. Thank you so much for visiting. I don't have coffee or tea, but you're welcome to go get some. We strangely have no baked goods. What is happening? I am just having the key lime. You're welcome to go get one. So enjoyable. What is up with the key lime one? It's like that little bit of vanilla. Delicious. Delicious. But thanks for coming to visit. Is it a little bit warmer where you are? I think the last time we talked I had like feet of snow, and now it's like sleeve weather. Like you could go out without sleeves on. I mean, hi, that's what happens this time of year, but it's kind of enjoyable, and it's like, oh, maybe we should do garden things. I mean, we really should already have seeds going, but I've just not been on the ball this year. I'm currently having brain burn about other things. Like I've been down like a leatherworking rabbit hole and a sewing rabbit hole, and when I get really interested in something, I tend to just hyper focus. I tend to hyper focus just like this much. Just like a little bit. Just the tiniest little bit. And it becomes just, I mean, just mildly difficult for me to do other things. So that's kind of where we're at. But I do need to get some seeds started, right? Woo! Which means I would have to go to I don't know what I just don't want to go get my seed dirt. Whatever. But this year, the thing is, I think I've also had this like slight, about making decisions this year, because like every other year has been pretty straightforward about what I was going to do. But this year I'm hesitant because I think this year I'm going to not do as much veg. I think I'm going to do more flowers this year, and I think we might experiment with some popcorn. We might, I think I'll probably do some tomatoes because we are mostly out of tomato sauce. I think we might have like 2 quarts left. But yeah, I think we have like 2 quarts left. But we still have quite a few beans left because, quite frankly, the family is anti-green bean. They do not like my green beans. Because they're fools, quite frankly. And yeah, so it's weird. Like I feel like I have to justify in some way this decision to maybe just do flowers and not a lot of veg. And I know that that's not anything that you're putting on me or anybody in this household is putting on me, but this is a strange thing that I have in my head that I feel like I need to have a bullet pointed list of oh, well, this is the following reasons that this is why it's reasonable for me to back off on the veg. And I still really feel guilty about it at the same time. It's goofy and so not necessary at all, but it is still in there. But yeah, after the zinnias were so enjoyable last year, I think that was just such a wonderful experience. And then I found out that you can use them to dye stuff. How did I not realize that until after they were all done? But basically, yeah, we're just gonna have giant bouquets of zinnias and, other things. And then I'm gonna dye everything we own that is not nailed down. We're gonna just, yeah, that's what's gonna happen pretty much, I think. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I think that's what's gonna happen. Oh my goodness. But yeah, I think that sounds really pleasant. Doesn't it? Maybe for where I'm at this year. I don't know. I'm just gonna change my color family, like my color choices. I'm just gonna buy everything in mauve and rose and dusty lavender. And I'm just only gonna grow flowers, and like I'm gonna be a vegan in a minute. Like I'm just gonna change like 1,000 things apparently. I'm not going vegan. I mean, I don't plan on it, but that's what I'm saying. I don't know what's going on. It's very strange. But that is neither here nor there. But that is all to say that we need to do those things. And by we, I mean I, quite frankly. So yeah, that needs to happen. And then what else? Oh, but yeah, so speaking of the brain burning rabbit holes. Okay, so this week I had to, by the way, thank you so much for your response to the new bag design. Thank you. I really liked it, but it was really nice to get a lot of positive feedback, and I really appreciate it. I had to go downtown to well, I didn't have to, but I went downtown to our local leather store just to kind of see what they had available, and see what they had that I could source from them. And it was so fun. For one thing, I was really expecting it to be like one of these like, okay, like it's gonna be like wildly expensive because that's usually what happens, and like it's not gonna probably have exactly what I want, but it'll be okay, and they'll probably be super snooty, and okay. It was lovely and crazy. It was like Ollivander's wand shop, but with just like weird, not like leather and then like just like rolls of like hides, and then there's like entire crazy wall of, this is the Ollivander's part, that was just like up to the ceiling with like ancient zippers. I think, I'm not sure how long those zippers have been there. I'm not gonna source your zippers from there. Because for one thing, they're like chonky zippers. But anyway, but like just like, it was actually like an old school store where I actually like, you can browse, but you also, I feel like, have to ask him like where things are, and like you have to ask for the shop's assistance, because like it's like not like set up to be, it's not like merchandised. Do you know what I mean? Like it's not like things are fronted, and like, which is really a much more peaceful experience. In some ways it kind of challenging if I had just gone in there like to browse, but luckily I needed something specific, and then that kind of gave me a window in order to ask for other things. But it was a much more peaceful experience in many ways, because I wasn't being assaulted by things that I needed to look at and take in. But then also there were these rolls of leather that, I mean, maybe we need to make everything out of also leather. Do you want some stuff made out of leather? Because, oh my God. Like, it's just like, I want to just like touch it a lot. Like, it's just, like when you're like a my best friend that I like, then like, that was like my roommate forever, and like I would touch everything when we shopped, and she was like, what is wrong with you? And I didn't know that I did it until she pointed it out. But I guess I am a like, I don't know if it's like a grounding thing that like I get too overwhelmed, and so therefore I can only focus if I touch things. And it's, but so I tend to touch a lot of stuff, and I wasn't sure if I was like allowed to touch the stuff, but then I was just like low key like sneaking. Oh my gosh, like everything is just like so supple. It's just like, oh, like, do y'all, I mean, like, oh, it's very fancy. But like in this, like, again, ancient building with like, with no pretense at all. Like, and it's funny because you'd almost think that it had been set up that way, but no, it's like actually ancient. Like, it's not like been manufactured to look that way. It's like actually dust on the floorboards. Like, it's like a scary skylight that looks like it might come through the ceiling. There is like the library ladder that rolls across. You know, oh, so pretty. But it was funny because I asked my husband, because I was a little bit nervous going by myself. Not like for not, it sounds like I'm worried about safety, but just I was a little intimidated, and I felt like I would feel like a little bit more, well, I feel like I would be a little bit less intimidated like in a group. I don't know why. But so when I was like, would you go with me to the leather store tomorrow? He was really like, hmm? And I was like, oh, really? You've been doing it for 20 years? I mean, the leather crafting store. And he was like, oh, yes, of course. I knew that's what you meant. And I was like, yeah. I saw the little. It was very enjoyable. Oh, my goodness. Very enjoyable. I'm going to end up with like leather overalls in a day. Then I'm going to have to learn how to play the banjo for real, because, I mean, you can't have leather overalls if you're not a performer. The Otis Overalls does not provide fabric requirements in number of cowl sides. It does not. Oh my goodness. So between that and then the Otis Overalls, oh my gosh, y'all. I'm bent out of shape. And between like the extra sunlight, which I always forget that is actually a nice thing, because I do enjoy the darkness of the winter. But then again, you sit outside and the sun shines on you and you're like, oh, that's right. That is actually, okay. That's right. That's nice. Like, you can actually hear the little icicle fall off of your heart and like shatter. Like, it's like, oh, okay, that is pleasant. Okay, I feel you. That's good. But between that and then like having the Otis overall and like that whole just like lovely sewing experience. I haven't sewn anything. You know, it's the combination of the Otis and then also the wolf work. What do we call those? Tunics and crop top. But like the combination of sewing those things, I hadn't sewn a garment for myself in quite some time. So the combination of having those two nice garments for myself has just been really lovely. And then also, but I say that in a peaceful way. It's not really actually been peaceful. It's actually just been very exciting, and like I gotta slow down a little bit because I'm in that, again, that like kind of manic brain phase where I'm like, oh, and then I need to, oh, and then what about this? Oh, and then I gotta, oh, and it's like a little bit, it's actually not a little bit too much. It's just too much. So I've it will dampen down a little bit, and that's good. Because right now it's a little bit unsustainable in the brain activity. Not in the actual doing. Because when the brain activity is this like zaggy, nothing can actually get done. Because what is it like that your brain uses like 20% of your glucose levels? I'm making that number up. But like, I think when your brain gets jaggy like that, it's like, it needs like 80% of your glucose. Because like, you can't actually then move your body too. Like, not in any coordinated way to get something done. No. You can only research and then put it in your brain. You can't actually manifest also. I mean, it's a bit ridiculous. that's crazy. That's crazy. So, but like, I'm feeling, I think I'm feeling the like, okay. I mean, if nothing else, the reality of like packages starting to arrive, because I don't know about you, but like this is also a very dangerous phase of the brain where money doesn't actually exist in a real way. I don't know if you have this. Like when you're just really excited about learning something new and it's very, very vital that you know every single thing about it and that you master it. Also, dollars aren't real then. So like the things will arrive and I will be like, oh, that's right. Okay. Let's actually turn this into something real. So it'll work out. But right now it's like a little bit like but it's still enjoyable, even though it feels a little crazy. Oh my goodness. But what else? Maybe we should talk about some wool. Maybe I should try to ground myself out a little bit. Okay, but one thing I did want to talk about before we talk about wool. So this episode will have just a tiny little, it's not even a book review, just like a book peek. And it will have, of course, knitting. And then it will have shameless self-promotion. So actually, I'll come back probably tomorrow and show you the next bag update, which will be the last Friday of March, because I don't have samples yet for you, because as I mentioned, can't manifest. So that'll happen in a day or so. So that's what's going to happen. Was I supposed to talk about something else? No, that's all I'm supposed to talk about. Okay, but just really quickly. So last time I showed you that I haven't bought like knitting information that comes in a paper form. That's called a book. In quite some time, but last time I showed you the Making magazine, which I'm glad that I purchased. And then I also fell down the PomPom. I mean, it's a quilting. So have you seen, and this cover pattern did really get me. And now I will say this, I am not usually a person who is discouraged is maybe not maybe discouraged is the right word, by the idea of weaving in ends, but this one might get me because it's all entrelac, and each square is half one color and half the other. Do you know how many ends that is? That's bonkers. I mean, that's legit bonkers, yo. But it's also just so cute, isn't it? I mean, and doesn't it just scream springtime? So I'm not sure how practical that make is in terms of like the actual making of that thing. Here's a good image of a flat of it. But I am super intrigued. And one thing I do really like about the PomPom is that you do get the digital version as well. Unlike Making, which is only a hard copy, you do get the digital version as well. I mean, come And this one is all Jameson Smith, so they tell you what you would need, or, you know, all the little bits and bobs you need. Right? Oh my gosh. And then, okay, by the way, sorry, my lighting is not great for you today, but I mean, I just want to go in that fabric. I'm really not sure how practical that garment is at all, but I do really like the look of it. And speaking of which, this is the other one that I'm not sure how practical it is, but I love the look of it. And that's this one. And it really is just created by running that stitch through. And it is so cute. Ooh. So I'm super pleased. I do really like this too. Right. So I'm very, very pleased with the making. And I feel like it is a very practical issue for me. Like I feel like I'm going to make several things out of that one. This one is a little bit more aspirational, and aspirational is not the right word, because it's not that I can't make any of these things. It's just more like these are more, you know, pom-poms. You know what I mean? A little bit more pom-pommy. But they are very attractive. I couldn't resist. Very enjoyable. But so that's that one. Okay, so then what am I making? Oh my goodness. What am I making? I picked up my Azor sweater again, but I gotta tell you, am I ever gonna finish this sweater? Am I? Am I? I am. But it's probably not gonna be this minute, because I gotta tell you, I'm not in the place of, I need to burn this, right? I need to, I think I will get to the place again once the brain dies down a little bit. Oh, that sounds bad. But once the brain fire dies down, the forest fire dies down, somebody needs to go in there and dig a trench around that area. But once that kind of dies down, I can usually do a thing where I just put this device in a different room in the evenings, and therefore focus on my knitting. But man, it's just not been happening lately. And part of it is just kind of allowing yourself to have a little extra grace, because, right? Come on. But it is very lovely, right? Oof. And so that is the Azor, not Azure, Azor sweater by Orlane Sucche. And so it is made with Barrett Wool's Wisconsin woolen. And isn't it just lovely? That's the bottom, holding it upside down for you. Oh, isn't it just, so dreamy? But I'm in that mindless stockinette point. And boy, fingering weight, lots of stitches. I need some thrillers or something to really get me engaged, so I can just knit along. But I love the Wisconsin woolen. It is such an enjoyable yarn to knit with. Oh, such a good yarn. And then I did knit a bit more on my Garter Gaiter by Purl Soho, and that is in, right, I really am parsing it out for myself, because I just, it's so enjoyable. So the brown is Knit Picks Wonder Fluff, and the pink is Juniper Moon Farms Beatrix. So that's one side. And then there's the other. And again, I will get you a video on how I'm doing the garter, no purl garter stitch in the round using 2 strands, which you can use it for one color if you want. You could just use 2 different ends of the ball. And let's see. So I think I've got enough that you can see pretty well now what it looks like, the join. Oh my goodness, needles. Settle up, settle down, something. I'm hungry. So there is, so you can see it. Whoop. There is that side, the beginning of the round. And then here is this side. And I will say, I think I might be a convert to this method, even if I'm just doing a solid color. So I think I might switch to this method even when I am doing one color in the round, or one color garter in the round. Even though I don't like having 2 strands going as much, it is nice if you are, for example, magic looping, because when I do one color garter in the round, what I typically do is wrap the first stitch of the round, and as you can imagine, if you are doing magic loop, that is tedious. Right? So usually I want to make sure I'm on a circular needle. And sometimes for hats, I just don't happen to have a 16-inch circular needle, because usually I would always just magic loop stuff. So it's a nice alternative, and I think it gives a very nice beginning of round. So anyway, there you have it. And I didn't see a video, so if there is one, please feel free to post it or put the link in the comments there. I just didn't see one, but if somebody already has one, hooray for them. So that is that. It's a Garter Gaiter by Purl Soho. And then last time, yes, I had started my, I didn't finish the eyes. I meant to do that before we talked. Oops. The is it the Love Owls by Susan B. Anderson that's available in Making Magazine number 10? So I need to put eyes on them. So this is Niche with Briggs & Little. Sorry, I just could not think. Briggs & Little Regal, which is it's listed as a DK, but Ravelry lists it as a worsted. And then my yellow is Peace Fleece Chicky Masala. And then the wing detail is just some hand spun natural gray. Right, I need to do eyes still. Oopsie. So in the pattern, Susan has you do like a satin stitch across the beak, but my satin stitch always looks terrible, and since this is not going for like a little person or anything, I wasn't worried about them like yanking on the beak threads, so I just left it this way. So yeah, isn't it cute? Isn't it so cute? So I just put I don't remember if I talked about it last time, I have like aquarium gravel. It's not the like real powdery kind, it's like actual like little tumbled stones. And then I just had some fiberfill left over from when I made my dog's biscuit quilt. So, because usually I stuff with wool, but I gotta use that stuff up. So yeah, isn't it cute? And this is so fun. You just run a thread underneath your purl bumps. And so if you wanted to, you can make the wing even curlier. You can like actually add a little bit of shaping that way, but it gives it a little bit more body. You could like have them little, like, because there's a little owl too, so you could like have a little owl underneath his wing. So cute. So isn't it so sweet? Oh, so cute. Oh. So, I mean, super enjoyable. The body is very simple. It's not at all fiddly. And in fact, this is a very not fiddly toy at all. If you're intimidated by doing fiddly toys, because I mean, it's worsted weight yarn, so nothing is tiny. You know, it's, I mean, I guess fringe knots are kind of fiddly, but lots of people didn't do them. If you look at project pages, but I did like the way they looked. So yeah, oh, this is so cute, and his little ears. And then finishing wise, I did not wet finish, but I did steam him, which I really liked because it made the piece fleece especially go whoop a little bit and plumped it up for his ears. I did do some more loops than was advised the pattern, but just because I liked the ones that had real fluffy ears. So yeah. So yeah, my only complaint about the pattern is not actually about the pattern. It was just about the presentation in the book, and it's just because of limited space. But it would have been nice if they had more pictures of, you know, how to do the lazy daisy stitch, or like as a placement. I think they did they have a picture of it? I don't think they actually had a picture of how to do the lazy daisy, but like maybe more pictures of placement suggestions and what have you. But I think it was just the reality of a paper book and space restrictions. But of course, Susan's patterns are always lovely. I just keep looking at him like, oh, he's just so cute. Even though he doesn't have eyes, he's just so cute. So yes. Okay. And then the next thing that I started on is a pair of slippers. These are the Saki slippers by NellKnits. I was originally given a pair of these by a friend, and then I made a pair for myself, which I have enjoyed wearing. I've enjoyed wearing both of those pairs quite a bit, and I always find that this is the time of the year when I enjoy them. It's like these transitional seasons, when it's not quite cold enough for full-on slippers, or you know, maybe you're ambitious in the morning and you think you don't need socks, but then it gets dark and you're like, oh, never mind, I'm very cold. So I like to just kind of have them lying about. So this one is in piece fleece. The pattern is written for worsted weight, I believe. I don't love the pattern itself, but I love the finished object. So the pattern is completely reliant on you having exact row gauge, and I don't know about you, but for me personally, that is very difficult for me to achieve. Obviously, this is piece fleece. It's not worsted. It's Aran, and like, you know, I'm contrary. I'm so contrary. So like, let me just put that in. But so that's part of it, is I should just not choose a pattern that is reliant on row gauge when I demand to use the yarn that I want to use, which is not even in the weight that's suggested. Okay, so let me just put that in there. So that's me. And there are places that you can adjust. The other thing I don't love about the pattern is that I do think a lot of people would love, in that it is written out row by row. And for me, that, for example, like, it's, instead of saying knit to the marker, increase, knit to the next marker, increase, complete the round, knit an even round, do that 5 times. It's written like, do this, do row 1, do row 2, do row 1, do row 2, do row, you know what I mean? Like, and for me, that is, I don't like that, because it's just too much visual information, and like, I end up like it takes me longer to sort out what's happening. But that's a personal preference, I guess. So that's another thing that I don't like, but somebody else might like. So between those two things, it's not my favorite pattern, but I do really like the little object that comes out of it. So there you have it. And I always know that I'm going to end up re-knitting one of them. Like I'm going to knit one and it's going to be not the right length, and then I'm going to take it apart and redo it. And that's what I did this time too. So this is actually the second slipper that I made, but it's the first one that fits correctly. So this is Peace Fleece in the Grassroots colorway, and I forgot, maybe I never knew how much I think this yarn is great. I mean, I've always loved Peace Fleece. That's not what I forgot about. But like, this is a yarn that I actually don't love in the skein or like from a distance very much, because I gotta be honest with you, I don't love the background color, but it has all these rainbow tweed flecks, whatever. And it's very enjoyable to knit with. It's like confetti in your yarn, and I dig it. It's very fun to knit with. So I've really been enjoying it. I wish Peace Fleece came in fingering weight yarn. Peace Fleece? Harrisville? Give me Peace Fleece and fingering weight. Please? Ding. You know, it's funny because when Peace Fleece, like when I first found Peace Fleece 20 something years ago, 24 years ago, oh my gosh, I'm so old. You know, you just didn't knit with fingering weight yarn. I mean, there was like Jameson Smith was a thing that you could get some places. But like most yarn, I don't remember seeing a lot of fingering weight yarn. I mean, maybe there was, and I just, like, it wasn't even on my radar. But now I'm like, Peace Fleece, give me fingering weight yarn. Come on. But anyway, sorry. But I'm really in love with this Grassroots colorway. I'm enjoying it. So I have a completed one. And then here is the first one that I actually finished. In fact, this portion has been wet blocked because I wet blocked the full slipper because I thought maybe it was going to be the correct length, but it was just like, this much too short. And I hate a sock or a slipper that is just a little bit too short because I hate that feeling of my toes being pulled underweight. So you can see this is what it looks like if it's been wet blocked. It gets a little bit fuzzier. Oh my gosh, do you love that stitch marker? Could you die? Tilting Planet. I cannot tell you how much joy this silly stitch marker gives me. It is so pleasant. I can't believe I love a heart. It's so cute though. So anyway, I do really like these little socks. They're very cute. Slipper sock things. And then they actually, the author actually has them written so that they can be a clog sock. So they have it so that you can put like a little tab. And in fact, it's written so that you put a tab on the back. But I don't really need a tab on the back because I'm definitely not wearing them in socks. So I omit that part. And so one of the things is it's like you're locked in. So like the place that you can easily modify the length of the slipper is here, is like before you do these purl bumps. So like right here is where you have kind of like some no action, knit until the thing is X inches. So, you know, again, it's not like a big deal. It's worsted weight. It's, you know, it's just a few places to rip back. But so that's one of the things that it makes it hard. It's not like you can say, oh, you're going to knit to the heel, you knit until you're 2 inches from your heel or whatever, like a sock would be. Excuse me. So that's one of the things that I find challenging about this pattern, but I do really like these little slippers. And this part being garter, it just makes it stay right on your foot. Pretty. I do have to knit them on US 2s. Is it 2s? Or is it 1.5? It's something silly. You're going to laugh at me. Yeah, no, US 1s, 2.25 millimeters. For air and weight yarn. to get them close to the right gauge. But I don't want them to wear out. I want them to be dense so that they don't wear out so easily. Because I am hard on things because I'm a beast. So I want them to be at a firm gauge so that they don't wear out. And I also like them to be firm so that this part will stay pretty elastic and so it'll stay on my foot. Which is another reason I'm like, oh, I don't want to rip that out because it's not as pleasant to knit at that tight gauge on a small needle. I'm a big baby. But I do like these. Okay, I'll stop whining now. And then the very last thing I have on the needles, which is new, is a pattern by Olga Jazzy Knits. Actually, my belly is actually growling, which is kind of funny. It doesn't usually happen. Oh, where is it? It is the Neji hat. That's what I'm trying to say. Not pattern. Hat. The Neji hat, which is Japanese for twist. And she is just so stinky. I mean, so there's two versions. There is this version. And then so I don't know if you recall, but in my lusciously illustrated Make 9 that was actually only like Make 3, I wanted to make myself a tall pink hat. If you don't remember or you weren't around, it was... Oh, it's right here. I mean, my art skills are just... I mean, I don't want to intimidate you. I don't want you to feel bad. But yeah, so like I needed a tall pink hat. So, so here's mine so far. So this is Beaver Slide Dry Goods in their 2-ply sport. This is the Hollyhocks colorway. Now, the pattern is written for DK, but I just did not have any DK pink yarn in my life. So, yeah, you would not think normally you could do 2-ply, or normally I was like thinking, okay, I should just look for a fingering weight yarn. I'll hold that double, and that's often like a DK worsted-ish, but really DK-ish. But I really love this yarn, the coloring of it. And so I thought, well, you know what? It's a hat. I'll just see. And it's actually pretty darn close to getting gauge. Usually I go down 2 needle sizes when I knit because I'm a loose knitter. And I'm very close to being on gauge. I'm like, 7% off or 6% off. Basically what it is I just, instead of doing the larger size hat, I'm doing the smaller size hat. So, so it worked out. And I like the fabric. And, oh, and I love this provisional tubular cast on. I love this tubular cast on. It uses a provisional cast on, but it is a tubular cast on. I've never done this one specifically before, and it was very enjoyable, and it has an excellent finished. I don't know, lots of times my tubular, especially the 2x2, looks kind of like lanky. That's really not the right word. Leggy? That's maybe not the right word either. But it doesn't look great. And I really like this one. I mean, obviously I've not put it on my head yet, so it's not stretched out. But, and it was very enjoyable to make. I didn't feel like it was particularly fiddly. I enjoyed it quite a lot. But, you know, that Olga, she is a clever knitter. And so basically I'm not surprised at all that I would enjoy her techniques. Did you see her? Did you see her 3-color pattern that she's doing as a knit along with Brooklyn General? I want to say. Oh, it looks so cute. It's so enjoyable. I mean, designers, could you stop? Like, just when I think that I'm like, okay, like, really, you can't come up with it. Oh, it's with Fiber Space. I apologize. It's with Fiber Space. But just when I think y'all can't come up with anything else, I mean, look at this great texture. How fun is that? Right. I was just shaking my head at clever people. Love them. Okay, so I think that is all. Okay, so what I think I'm going to do is say goodbye now, and then I'll come back and do shameless self-promotion. Yeah. Okay. I hope that you have a little icicle that falls off your heart this week. If the sunshine just touches your little cheek and just one tiny icicle falls off your heart, just one, but maybe more. And wouldn't that be lovely? And I hope that you get to have a day where you open your window and the light does nice things, and then it's that perfect temperature when you're ready to go to bed where you think, oh, I should close the window because it's going to get a little cooler, but then you're like, oh no, I'll just leave it open and maybe add another blanket. That's the best. I'll talk to you next time. Bye. Okay, so it's actually Monday morning at Casa del Squirrel. We're about to have a giant rainstorm, so we're just going to do some overhead unnatural lighting. But I wanted to show you the bags for Friday's update. So there'll be an update the last Friday of March, and that will be at 9 p.m. Eastern. You can find that at fatsquirrelfibers.com, or if you forget, there is always in the link tree of the YouTube show notes, there's a shop update or a shop link, and it'll take you there. This update will not have any of the new style with the leather handle, but there will be some in the next update. I'm looking at the fabric right now. I think you're really going to like it, or at least I really do. It has like a sort of like tile block, wood block slash tile slash Moroccan slash pool feel to it. I think it's going to look really great. So I'm excited about those. But I'm also really excited about these. But look for new big fancy bags, probably the second Friday of April. But these will be available the first or the last Friday of March. Okay, so, right, speaking of like, sort of like transitional, almost warm sunset vibes, but maybe also cool spring transition vibes. I have this nice twill fabric printed by Hawthorne in the large wedge size. So I decided that I was going to go ahead and flip-flop or like kind of play with the transitions so that you wouldn't have a mirror or, excuse me, an exact bag. So I like the look of that though. You can pick your favorite. So this is the large wedge size. So this is a size that's great for, you know, shawl projects. Usually I use it for 2 skeins because I like to have lots of extra room in my bags, because I like to just be able to throw them in, zip them up, and I pretend like I'm going somewhere. I like to be able to throw them in, zip them up, and throw them next to me on the couch. And these will all have the normal handles. I just don't have those sewn yet. But they will hold a 3 skein project as well. But you'll just have to kind of push it down in there, which I don't prefer myself. But you do you. And then in the sweater size, actually I'll just do this by fabric. Okay, so then, oh my gosh, right? I love this fabric. Do you see this gentleman mushroom? He's gonna be your therapist. Like he, you know what? If I could like somehow integrate smartwatch technology into the fabric, and he could be like your motivational sayings, like / you're doing okay. Like I would prefer him to give that information to you. Okay, I would prefer them to give that information to you. They're not gendered. They're a mushroom. I would prefer them to give that information to you. It's just going to come up across their face, maybe underneath, something like that. Like, you're doing good. Good job. You're doing your best. Excelente. But it'll also just say things like, hey, have you napped recently? Hey, you don't need to do something right now. You could just rest. Stuff like that. I feel like they're in your corner, this mushroom. And I feel like, you know what? I feel like you would trust the authority of this mushroom. This mushroom has been around forever. Right? We can trust the knowledge of this mushroom. Their species has survived. I say species, but are they? Okay, I'm not going to get into some sort of like phylum, genus, something, but their kind have survived. Listen to them when they tell you that you are enough. Listen to them when they tell you that you can rest. Listen to them when they tell you that capitalism does not have your best interest at heart. I'm just saying. Okay, but that is... So it's available in a sweater size. And then also in this set. By the way, if you love one mushroom, please do make a note in your order, and I will do my very best to make sure that you get that mushroom. Just please be as descriptive as possible. And then also in like the Aran sweater size. Now there are many mushrooms that can give you wisdom, and all the flavors of wisdom. I mean, do you see this? Do you see this? Do you see that? There's a snail. I mean, there's ferns. Oh, come on. Okay, so the mushroom's available in both sweater and Aran sweater. Oh, and then like okay, so this is what I use kind of as like 3 to 6 skein-ish projects. Okay, it'll hold more than 6 skeins, but it's, you know, it's like for me it is like a sport or fingering weight sweater in progress. But it will certainly hold a sweater for many human beings. I wonder if I have like a standard yarn skein size that's up here, because there's like not one skein. Do you know what I mean? Because like everything is a different brand. Let's just try. Okay, here we go. We're doing it. These are all different brands, but these are all trying to get all 100 grammars. Okay, so here we go. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. Whoops. Okay, so those are 7, and you saw some of these are these like chunky, like this guy's like totally ridiculously fluffy. Okay, so 7 skeins will close, and those are all big fluffy dudes. Okay, and then, whoop. For example, if I did all fingering weight skeins, obviously I could put significantly more. See, those are 50 grammers. I don't want to trick you. I don't want to trick you. 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, you're a DK. Oh, you're 50. You're 50. You're also DK. 6, 7, 8. Okay. So if these are fingering weight, 8, and then there's still extra room. So just to get an idea. And then in the Aran sweater, well, you can put this bag in this bag. And then you can put some extra giant fat skeins in there. So about 4, 5. Yeah. You get the idea. It's a whole lot of yarn. Like, I've never had a sweater for myself that did not fit comfortably in that size bag. And I am a big lady. Okay. And then for my crazy cat folks, I've got, right? I've got it in the sweater. I've got it in the Aran sweater. And then I decided, did I decide that? I decided at the last minute that I would also get a little bit on the twill base so that I could offer it in the large wedge size. So there'll be some on the large wedge. So basically the cats will be available in all three of the most popular sizes. Okay. So yeah, that'll be Friday, the last Friday of March, 9 p.m. Eastern, fatsquirrelfibers.com. Thank you so much for continuing to support the shop. I am so lucky that I get to do this ridiculous job. I'm not wearing a bra. I'm wearing corduroy pants and like a tech fabric shirt, and it's 9:30 in the morning, and I just want to say thank you. I'll talk to you next time. Bye.